So here we begin the first speaker of the day, and an ever enthusiastic person I have already met. I've listened to a lot of speeches from Mr. KV Dipu, and I'm awaiting to see him on offline. So Mr. KV Dipu is a senior president, head operations and customer service, Bajaj Allianz General Insurance. And Mr. KV Dipu he has joined the company Bajaj Allianz General Insurance Company, a joint venture of Bajaj Group and Allianz. He drives digital transformation, innovation, and industry leadership as a head of operations and customer service at the world's 8th digital insurer. So I now welcome Mr. KV Dipu to join us on stage for his presentation. Yeah, hi.
I want to thank the organizers, for starting on time. I'm seeing the time, when they called me, it was, on the dot at 10. So thanks to the organizers for starting on time. I think we'll just wait for a couple of minutes while they, fix my laptop, and I'll basically, take you through the presentation. Thanks to them for introducing me. So, that saves me time as well. And, glad to to set the tone for the day. I normally don't like to make, long presentations because then the audience feels bored. So I'll keep it crisp. I'll basically take you through, just a couple of slides on, what the context is, and then jump into, real use cases, which we have deployed. The slides are working? Yeah, okay. Yeah. So if you look at, today's consumers, right, because the topic is around, automation and insurance. So if you look at, today's, consumers, right, we all are connected today. We don't wait for tomorrow's newspaper. We get instantaneous news. In fact, WhatsApp has made all of us also journalists, right? We also share news. Obviously, very well informed. Today, when you go to a place for a holiday, you don't need to ask anyone. Before you go, you have all the reviews, and you can tell someone, I've read all the reviews, their breakfast is very good, or, this service is bad, right? You're very well informed. Obviously, we all are very, impatient. I'm sure right now, even though we started at 10 o'clock, right, all of us must be thinking, let this laptop go up very quickly, right? Even though it's a few minutes, but, we all become, tend to become very impatient. There are studies which show that attention spans have dipped from, 17 seconds to 4 seconds. And of course, we're very demanding today. We all want, personalization, right? I know many people who don't revert to festival meetings if it's a generic one. Only if it's customized, they reply. Otherwise, they think, the person has sent a, just sent it to everybody in the contacts group. And specifically in insurance, what happens is we all say, let's start with the insurance who comes to the doorstep. But what we forget is, for every customer who lands up at the doorstep, there is one customer who's not landed up because he's read about the firm, in social media. So we need to cast our net wide and far. You need to go beyond the customers, who land at your doorstep. Actually go out and figure out, are there customers who are not even landing, right? Because that's how customers are, digitally, empowered. And today, because of the internet, you see, price shopping is very easy, right? Imagine earlier days, there was no internet. You went to this discount store outside the city. You may have liked it, may not have liked it. But because you spent time and effort, right? You took a taxi or whatever and you went to that place, and you just end up buying there. On the net, it's very easy. You don't like something, you just switch. So that puts so much more pressure on the firms to deliver, really good value to customers. And today we all know that, 24/7 service is important. If you take our industry, you take travel industry. The customer may be stuck, in a different travel insurance. The customer may be stuck in another part of the world. And, when he panics, he'll just call you. It might be, middle of the night for you, but you need to, service that customer, right? Maybe he's lost his passport. Maybe, he's not got his baggage. So it's 24/7 today because people are operating on multiple time zones. So that is the reason why, automation or digital experience is so important. And I just want to, focus on one thing, that when we speak about automation, it's not about just, moving from man to machine. It has to be a combination of man and machine. You need to ensure that, customers get, that human touch, right? We're not born digital beings, right? We are born social beings. Digitization is a means to make it happen. So it's very important to ensure that whatever we do, the human angle, comes through. And I'll give you one example, in subsequent slides as to how this combination of man and machine helped us automate and yet be different when it came to serving our customers. So, I don't want to spend too much time in terms of, giving you theoretical frameworks. I just wanted to spend, these two slides on theory. And BAGIC is my firm's name, Bajaj Allianz General Insurance Company. I thought the best is to actually take you through what we've actually deployed, right? Where automation came live, came real, what use cases, really benefited our customers, right? And then take you through that. So if you look at this, this talks about, to the point I made earlier about, man and machine, as to how, we were able to leverage AI with a human touch, through our chatbots. Now, some of you may be thinking, why am I talking about chatbots, right? Because you go to any website today, a bot will pop up. But as they say, winners don't do different things, they do things differently. So I want to highlight 3 aspects here as to how, or the other 4 aspects, as to how we were able to differentiate, and this really came to the fore. For starters, what we did, we did not just pick simple, easy use cases. It's very easy in the digital arena to, pick a niche use case and then tell the customer for real problems, go to the call center. We said, let's do the other way around. Let's take the bull by the horns. So we went to the call center, figured out the key drivers of traffic. What are the biggest reasons why customers call us, the biggest pain points, and then we built journeys for them on the bot. So when COVID happened, we were able to switch overnight. In fact, many of you may be surprised to know that when COVID happened and we switched overnight from call centers to bots, we thought, okay, there might be, a transition time for customers and customer grievances may increase. But they actually fell and did not fall by 10 or 20%. They actually fell by 83%. So it just shows, how it helped. The second one is, and I think that's something which we keep missing in the Indian context, is we tend to think, that when you have call centers, you have, people who speak multiple languages. But when it comes to digital assets, it has to be English. So we launched this bot even in Indian languages. So, customers even in Indian languages could interact with the bot. And that really helps you amplify your reach. The third is the point I made earlier in terms of man and machine. So what happens normally if you speak to a bot? If the bot doesn't understand, right? And we have all seen how sometimes, very funny, outcomes can happen because the bot doesn't understand the customer. Yes, the bot does not tell the customer, I'm not able to understand you, so therefore can you please, write a mail or, go to a website. Seamlessly at the back end, it get transferred from the bot to a human being. So the human being takes it through to completion. The customer doesn't feel any break in service. At the back end, we maintain an inventory of all such queries the bot could not answer. And then by using natural language processing and artificial intelligence over a period of time, we keep teaching the bot. So that's where, the combination of man and machine, really helped us. And the fourth is we were pioneers in terms of integrating our bot with Alexa and Google Assistant when they were launched in India. So if you had Alexa at home, you would say, hey Alexa, what would you use Alexa for? You would use it to play music or ask about the weather or get some news. Here you could tell the bot, or rather tell Alexa, hey Alexa, can I get a copy of my insurance policy? Alexa would speak to a bot and then the policy would get mailed to your email ID. So that's how, we were able to use our bot across these various aspects. Combination of man and machine, multiple languages, integration with voice platforms, and picking the top priority categories. And that's why, as I said, when COVID happened, for us it was an overnight switch with a massive drop in customer grievances, and also when we got an NPS as a Net Promoter Score survey done, a massive spike in our customer satisfaction scores. So it's about using a digital asset which everybody has used, but using it with real customer centricity. This again is an example from health insurance. If you take insurance, there are various forms of insurance. We have motor insurance, health insurance, crop insurance, property insurance. Let's say, again, I'll just use COVID as an example because all of us can relate to it. What happens if you crash your car? We can obviously ask you to wait for a few days because maybe you're not using it and the car can be repaired later. But health insurance is one area where we cannot wait, right? If you are unwell, we can't wait. And similarly, when there was a spike in demand, right, we also wanted to ensure that we gave uninterrupted servicing. So we made the whole process of health insurance issuance and health claim filing. If you're unwell, you get hospitalized and you file a claim and get reimbursement. Or if you want to buy, electronic. Now on the one hand, it looks fairly simple at electronic, but please understand health insurance, right? You submit documents, we need to check you for your medical fitness levels. Then there has to be a medical test. You have to go to a diagnostic center. They have to, assess you. The report has to come. So there's an ecosystem. There are many steps, right? How do we digitize it? So we just did this, across the entire landscape. Customers could submit documents electronically, and even for medical tests, they could do it electronically. The doctor would get into what we call we leverage telemedicine. So, over a video chat, right, he assesses you. And again, the report submission, and please understand report submission from various diagnostic centers. It's not just one hospital. That again was electronic. And then, we could issue the policy electronically. So this was a wow. Customers thought, they didn't think, that they thought the machine would grind to a halt. They could get it. And similarly, when it came to claims, right, we digitized it. They could just upload documents using the app and they got their money. It was just a wow for customers, and, it led us to, our receiving, many global awards. This again is an interesting aspect. The biggest form of insurance in the biggest form of insurance is motor insurance. So all of you would have taken it because it's mandatory. And the moment of truth in the insurance industry is the claim process. It's when you approach the insurance company for the help that you need, right? How quick and how agile they can be, that matters to you. So earlier, what would happen in case you crashed your car? You would call up the insurance company. Let's say you are in some, remote location. They'll say, fine, please wait. Somebody has to come to assess the car. He'll come, assess the car. Then he'll submit his report, and the whole process would kick in, right? To take days. We said, why don't we simplify this? So today, whether you believe it or not, up to certain amounts, we can do this in 20 minutes. So what did we do? We digitized the entire process, and we introduced AI. So today, it's a two-step process for customers. Just take photographs of the car and submit to them using the mobile app. Just 2 steps. We have an AI engine which has been taught, using, years of expertise. And here one point I want to make, because normally we tend to think that, existing players can get challenged by startups. Startups have solutions, but it may not have expertise. You cannot teach this to an AI bot unless and until you have years of experience. You know how to assess claims. So we used our years of experience and taught the AI engine. And the AI engine can assess the images, and in a matter of 20 minutes, the extent of damage and what is the amount to be paid to the customer. The customer gives his consent, and the money is transferred. So initially, customers were like, they couldn't believe it, right? Because when they approached us, we said, just download the app, click photographs, give us the consent, and you will get the money. So this again, led to revolutionizing, the whole insurance claim process, using automation. And whatever I'm telling you are examples which are live and tested and acknowledged and appreciated by customers. The other aspect is one thing which we need to understand when it comes to automation. It's not only about meeting customer stated needs, right? You go to a customer, he'll come and tell you saying, yes, I want this, I want insurance policies quickly. I want to, file my claims quickly, and I want to get reimbursement as quickly as possible. Customers also have unstated needs. Very often, customers may not state their needs. So when, we had lockdowns and customers, couldn't, go to hospitals, right? Either there was a lockdown, or at that time there was such a huge stress on the medical infrastructure system that people, typically prioritized COVID-19 cases, right? If you had a minor ailment, nobody would even worry about. But then, as we said, if you are unwell, whether it's a minor ailment or a major ailment, you have to get treated, right? You need to recover. So we heard this from customers. While they didn't approach us, but we heard this, in our conversations, and we said, why don't we help our customers? Anyway, our logo says caringly yours, right? We care for you whether it's an insurance need or a non-insurance need. So we came out with a very simple but a very effective solution. So on our mobile app, in case you are unwell, you could log in and you could have a consultation, a digital consultation with our empaneled set of doctors. We are in insurance and we do have an empaneled set of doctors. Voice, and it's your choice, whether it is voice, whether it is text, whether it's video. And once you do the consultation, you just have to go and buy medicines. And medicines you could always buy because that was always exempt. And then, you could just recover. So many customers were thankful to us. They said, you're an insurance company, this is not your core offering. But then, we said it's about not just meeting your core need, but how do we also meet your unstated needs? Stated needs, everybody is aware. But if you can keep meeting your customers' unstated needs using automation, you're always able to stay one step ahead of competitors. And that's when customers value you, and you're also able to add value to the entire ecosystem. This again is a case of, leveraging technology. Again, most of you would, as I said, have car insurance. So across various countries, what many firms also did was also say that, okay, now that there's an insurance contract between the customer and the firm, is there a way we can add value, So then there was a decision to make cars smart. You place a device in the car, and then you start to get some data. How is the person driving? And that feedback can be given to the customer, right? Saying that this is your driving diagnostics. It can also help the insurer and the firm, and the customer have a more informed conversation when the policy is up for renewal 1 year later, depending on, how your driving is, so on and so forth. So while this happened, and of course, we have been pioneers in launching this, again to the point that I made earlier, I said, how do we differentiate ourselves? So we said, now that we have this data, right, the car is getting tracked. And in India, what also happens is a lot of people use drivers, right? Because unlike the West, we can afford to have drivers. And let's take a case of a working couple, husband and wife, in the morning get dropped to office by the driver, and then he drops the kids to school. That's fine in the morning. Afternoon is when the tension starts because we keep reading about various safety issues, related to children. The driver picks up kids. Sometimes, you're not going to be able to call him on the mobile phone, and then, you're just hoping that yes, he's picked up the kids and he's taken them safely to the daycare center or home or wherever. But because we have this feature now, we introduce a feature called geofencing. So what happens in geofencing is you mark your traditional routes. This is the route, or the alternate route, whatever normal routes. Home to office, this is the route. Office to school, this is the route. Afternoon school to daycare center or whatever, this is the route. If the car is taken on a completely different route, you get an alert. So this was, a huge peace of mind factor, for a customer. So that's how we could leverage technology to the point that we said automation in insurance. How do you leverage technology to add value? Because without technology, you can't do this. And you're giving solutions which didn't exist before. It's not about moving from the manual to the digital. It's also about bringing in solutions which could not exist had you not launched this. So that's how, we were able to leverage automation, across all its, nuanced white spaces to really add value to customers. We keep talking about, technology, digitization, and we typically tend to think, it's an urban phenomenon, right? So I deliberately picked this example, and this is completely rural, and this is in the area of crop insurance. We give crop insurance to farmers, right? And we all know that farmers typically would not converse in English, but they would converse in their language. So we said, if you look at urban areas, right, you got plenty of organized marketplaces. The whole landscape has been digitized to a large extent. So this is, a completely greenfield venture. So we came out with an app exclusively for farmers, and we launched it exclusively in Indian languages. So there's no point in launching an app in English. We launched it in multiple Indian languages. So the first and the easiest thing we did was use this to interact with us, raising a claim, asking for a refund, asking a query. Then we said they also interact with the government. Farmers have a lot of interaction with the government. We offered them that through this app. So it became a one-stop shop. Then we said, now that we have the app, why don't we give them information through notifications? Weather and soil play a significant role in agriculture. We gave them notifications about the weather. We gave them crop advisories. We gave them crop diagnostics. And when COVID happened and they were kind of confined to their homes, this became a huge lifeline for them. Because sitting in the comfort of their home, in the language of their choice, they could interact with us, with the government, and get information from the entire ecosystem. So through sheer word of mouth, the number of downloads went up. In fact, at one point of time, we had a score in excess of 4.5 on the Play Store. And this was a unanimous choice for many global awards. And we continue to, build on this. So digitization is possible not only in urban India, but it's also possible in rural India. What is important here is to ensure that you know your customer. So we firmly believe customer first, technology second. Because only if you know your customer will you be able to come out with real solutions. So that kind of brings me to I told you I'll keep it crisp, and take you through, live use cases. The one thing which we've seen, now that we are all in the post, and I think now firmly in the post-COVID world, right? None of us here is wearing a mask, and we've seen hotels, airlines, all are full, right? Pretty much we're back to the world. But of course, some, factors, from the COVID era stay on. And one thing which we saw was, this entire touchless user experience, we think is here to stay. So, a lot of people have got used to this, right? So earlier when we had customers walk into our branches, right, we would, at that time, because we couldn't shake hands, we couldn't exchange paper, we launched, let's say, QR codes. Just scan them and your activity, gets completed. And then we also educated customers. Why do you need to come to a branch? You can do this, in the comfort of your home. So that way, we are seeing this is happening. We also did one thing which I've not mentioned here, which is, let's say, you go and click on our office address. Now, what would the effort of the firm be? Make sure that the office address is updated, because you don't want an outdated address, lying out there when a customer is trying to approach. We said, why don't we go one step further? So when a customer clicks on our office address, a bot pops up and tells the customer, if you've clicked on the address, it obviously means you want to go there. So is there a way I can help you? Can I help you eliminate the need to go to the branch? For the customer, it's a wow, right? Because he just clicked on the office address. So the bot helps him if it's a need which can be fulfilled. And the customer is thankful because he didn't ask for it, but we've been proactive and comprehensive. So that way, whether this entire touchless UI UX, we think can pretty much be the new normal. So that's broadly what I had to share. And even though we had a slightly late start because of the laptop, I'm within time. So if any queries are there, happy to take them. Otherwise, I'll walk away happily, saying that, okay, nobody asks questions. You can do it across the length and breadth of the country.
So it's a feature, or is it you'll have to pay additionally for it as a consumer?
So basically, when you take policies, right, there are policies you can take with telematics and you can take policies without telematics. So at the time that, we had offered some of our products with telematics, this came as a part of the overall offering.
Okay. Great. Thank you.
Thank you. Essentially, what we said is as voice comes in, right? Because what do you want to do? You basically want to join the dots. As you see customers getting onto new platforms, you need to see how you can be there, right? It's not about always asking customers to come to you. So we said when customers are leveraging, these voice platforms, right? And we saw customers, buying Alexa and Google Assistant for, various needs. We said, how can we leverage this platform to be there? So we worked with them and we integrated our AI-driven bot, with these voice platforms. So if you have Alexa at home, you'll say, hey Alexa, can I get a copy of, and as I said, we were pioneers, so we were the only ones. You couldn't do it at that point of time if let's say it was a competitor of ours. And send it to him. So for the customer, it's a delight. Because I just say, Alexa, get me a copy, and it pops up in my mailbox. Similarly, you could have asked Alexa saying, I need to get my car repaired, which is the nearest, preferred workshop. And again, the Alexa will speak to the bot and tell him, I'm not very familiar with Chennai, but whichever is the nearest one from this area, right? Similarly, in case you wanted to come to our branch or you wanted to go to a hospital, right? So whatever you ask the bot, whatever you send a mail for, whatever you call up the call center for, just voice your command, Alexa speaks to our bot, and the information is relayed back to you by Alexa in a matter of seconds.
For a moment. So, what do you think? Is there, more and more people picking up this kind of services, and are people going for such services? And what is the, what is the segment? Is this segment growing fast, or so that's one. And the second is, with telematics, there is an inherent expectation that prices will be lower if I'm a good driver. Does it really translate into a price difference?
No, it's a good question that you asked, and I'll answer, because you asked two questions. I'll answer that in across the multiple questions that you asked. So the first thing is, telematics, and what is it? Is it growing, and all of that. Now, telematics has been offered in quite a few markets, globally, and it is yet to see the kind of scale. In Italy it's seen scale, in Europe, but in a lot of markets, it's yet to see scale. And that brings me to your second question. So, I'll kind of combine them and answer. The one is the point that you made about pricing, right? Now, let's understand one thing. Let's take a Mercedes-Benz. You may be surprised to know that a Mercedes-Benz you buy in Germany or a Mercedes-Benz you buy in India, the price may not be very different, because in India there are high taxes, right? But if you take insurance in Germany, motor insurance, it will be much more expensive than what you buy in India, right? Because Indian insurance premiums are far lower than, global. I was speaking to a friend in Canada, and he was telling me that every month the insurance he pays is equivalent to the EMI on the car. And if his wife is driving the car, he has to take insurance separately for her. It's not about the car, it's about the person. So firstly you pay equal to your EMI, and then you pay twice over if both of you are driving. So when you look at that and look at India, and then if somebody says I want a discount, then you'll think, come on, we're already at rock bottom, right? So it depends on the margin available in various markets. The other is what you said, it's also about consumer behavior, right? Now, this is a choice-based product. I'll only take this product, from one point of view, if it's going to benefit me, right? As in, if I show good behavior and, I get a discount. Why would I take it if I'm going to expose myself, right? So sometimes you end up having a selection where, there is an inherent bias, right? The entire selection happens only on one side of the equation. Then it's difficult for the product to scale. So that's why, you need to look at, these multiple angles, which market, what is the existing level of pricing, do you have customers from both type A and type B, coming to the fore, right? I'll just round it off with, with one more point because you said, how is it going forward? So I was speaking to the biggest player in telematics in the US, and, he made a very interesting point. On the one hand, he said today cars are increasingly safer, right? Because you have all kinds of technology, right? Airbags, alerts, sensors, all of that. He said, but while cars have become safer, drivers have become riskier. But today you're not only driving, you're having a conference call, you're checking out your messages. So he said that has led to this increase in accidents. So cars are safer, but drivers are riskier. And if that is the case, then depending on a risk profile, different markets, the product can evolve. I can make out from a body language that she wants me to move on. Right? Okay. So any one question I'll take, otherwise. Okay. Thank you all. Have a great day.
And giving us a presentation on your topic. And so before we move on to the next speaker, I would like Mr. KV Dipu to join us on stage for a token of appreciation. And to give away the token of appreciation, I would request Ms. Irene Syed, Chief Credit Officer. So can we all have a big round of applause for Mr. KV Dipu? Dignitaries, please stay on the dais. We have another award for Mr. KV Dipu, which Bajaj Allianz has won in the category of innovation in AI and ML category. Since Mr. KV Dipu is leaving for today, unfortunately, so we had to hand over the awards right away. Thank you very much. Thank you, sir. Thank you, gentlemen.